Yes, the industrializations of Britain had a close connections with the conquest and colonizations of India. You have seen chapter 8 how the English East India Company's interest in trade led to occupation of territory and how the pattern of trade changed over the decades. In the late 18th century, the company was buying goods in India and exporting them to England and Europe, making profits through this sale. With the growth of industrial productions. British industrializations begin to see India as a vast market for their industrial products, and our time manufactured goods from Britain began flooding India. How did this affect Indian crafts and industries? This is the question we will explore in the chapter next. Surat in Gujarat on west coast of India was one of the most important ports of the Indian Ocean trade. Dutch and English trading ships began using the port from the early 17th century. Its importance declined in the 18th century. Next, this chapter tells the story of the crafts and industries of India during British rule by focusing on two industries, namely textile and iron and steel. Both these industries were crucial for the industrial revolutions in the modern world. Mechanized production of cotton textiles made Britain the foremost industrial nation in the 19th century, and when its iron and steel industries started growing from the 1850s, Britain come to be known as the workshop of the world. Next, Indian textile and the world market. Let us first look at textile production around 1715. Before the British conquered Bengal. India was by far the world's largest producer of cotton textiles. Indian textiles and long been renowned both for their fine quality and exquisite craftsmanship. They were extensively traded in Southeast Asia, Java, Sumatra, and other countries, and West and Central Asia. From the 16th century, European trading companies began buying Indian textile for sale in Europe. Memories of this flourishing trade and the craftsmanship of Indian weavers is preserved in many words still current in English and other languages. It is interesting to trace the origin of such words and see what they tell us. Next, Patola was woven in Surat, Ahmedabad, and Patan highly valued in Indonesia. It became part of the local weaving tradition there. Next, there are many other words which point to the popularity of Indian textiles in Western markets. In picture 3 and 4, you can see a page of in order book that the English East India Company sent to its representatives in Calcutta in 1703. Next, they order that you are worth 5,8900 pieces of cloths. Browsing through the order book, you would have seen a list of 19 varieties of cotton and silk cloths there. These were known by their common name in the European trade. B-piece goods, usually woven cloth pieces that were 20 yards long and 1 yard wide. Next, European traders first encountered fine cotton cloth from India carried by Arab merchants in Mosul in present day Iraq, Iran. So they began referring to all finely woven textiles as Mussolin, a word that acquired white currency when the Portugal first came on India's search of space. They landed in Calicut on the Kerala coast in southwest India. The cotton textile which they took back to Europe along with the spice came to be called calico, derived from Calicut, and subsequently calico became the general name for all cotton textile. Next, a page from an order book of the East India Company in 1730. Notice how each item in the order book was carefully traced in London. These orders had to be placed 2 years in advance because this was the time required to send order to India, get the specific cloths woven and shipped to Britain. Once the cloth pieces arrived in London, they were to be put up the auction and sold. Stop.